How would I describe this episode of NXT? Well, I know how I would not, and that is SAWFT. Soft! One of the benefits of watching NXT is that it focuses a lot more on the in-ring aspect as opposed to a lot of the crap that you see on Raw and SmackDown. Now, with that being said, what made this show stand out a little bit more and was more interesting to watch is that it focused really heavily on the developmental aspect to it. So this was a showcasing type of show. And with all that being said, let's just get right down to what happened on this week's show. In the first match, what I like about the first match is that it started with a tag team match as opposed to a Divas match, because to me, it would just feel a little too repetitive when it comes to presenting an NXT full episode. So I like how they mixed it up here a lot. And it was Simon Dutch and Aiden English, known as the Vaudevillains, taking on two jobbers pretty much. And even though this was a short, quick 4 or 5 minute match, I like how they present this new tag team of the Vaudevillains. They're a different tag team than what we normally get from NXT. They're, they're the Charlie Chaplin kind of guys from the 1920s. And they come out with the entrance. The only thing I would change out of this is that I would like to see these two guys come out with those old school 1920s bicycles and have the entire match in black and white. And the one little thing that I noticed in this match is that when Simon Dutch applied this leg scissor maneuver, he was doing push-ups also in the same time. And I'm like, this stuff is cool. I live for different things. I like things that I've never seen before, something that stands out with a new tag team. So I like what they're doing here when it comes to presenting this new tag team of the Vaudevillains. And I like I said, how this show focused a lot more on the developmental side of things. And they've done a really good job here with a new tag team, and to me, I think they can go past becoming the NXT tag team champions, because I think they're ready for the main stage. The only little issue I would have with that is because most of the fans on Raw are kids, they probably wouldn't understand their gimmick, so it probably wouldn't resonate with a lot of the fans. But probably to the older audience they would. So I'm a little hesitant of bringing them up to Raw because they might end up being treated like a joke tag team. But on NXT, they get the reaction right away and they're on board with this tag team. Why not have them become the tag team champions if they does not decide to put them up to Raw? Even though that's the whole point, I fear that they would end up failing on Raw because of the way they would book different teams. I mean, they are a bit of a joke, but I like how the fans react to the tag team. So, with that being said, with the show focused heavily on developing new stars, I like what NXT does as opposed to what Raw does. When they try and create new stars, they end up failing, but when NXT does it, they do it a lot better, I feel. Moving on, we get to see a debut, and I put that in quotes for a reason, of a new WWE NXT talent. And his name is Bull Dempsey, and he takes on Xavier Woods in a one-on-one jobber match where Bull Dempsey goes over. And I actually like how they booked this match as well. Even though this was pretty much jobber squash, you knew this guy was going to win. I like that Xavier Woods wouldn't give up. He had a couple of near falls in the match when Bull Dempsey was applying these elbow drops to him. So at least they made Xavier Woods look a little bit not much of a squashed kind of guy. And to me, I thought this was a solid way to showcase Bold Dempsey if you never seen him before. However, this was not Bold Dempsey's NXT television debut. Now, it just seems like the NXT commentators wanted you to feel stupid because, like I said, this wasn't his first rodeo on NXT. Last year he jobbed out to Aiden English. Most recently, back in March of this year, he actually jobbed out to Mojo Rawley. So I don't understand the logic behind the announcer saying, oh, this is Bold Dempsey's debut, when in fact he's already been on NXT. But if you haven't watched NXT, and if you want to get introduced to new people and new talent, NXT done a really good job here introducing Bold Dempsey as this real dominant force wrecking ball. And what I also like is, after the match happened, he actually cut a really solid promo talking about that children that are on the show are going to be pushed aside and let the real men work and just dominate the entire show. And he also mentions that he's going to be the last of a dying breed, and he's really looks like an old school 80s really big man who's just a natural big guy. And it shows, because he has a little bit of hair on his chest and the suspenders. He actually looks and feels like an old school kind of wrestler, kind of like George the Animal Steel when he got compared to him. I like comparisons like that. I thought the commentators were actually on point when they were letting Bold Dempsey have his debut on NXT. So solid work from Bold Dempsey, I thought, in my opinion. Moving on to the Divas match, it was Summer Rae with Charlotte and Sasha Banks taking on a new diva on the roster. Her name is Becky Lynch, and she's from Ireland. Yes, I'm going to put this out there right off the bat. It will be... I will give it 6 months until WWE decides to team her up with Sheamus. I see this coming from into infinity and beyond miles away. Absolutely no question. But what I actually like about this segment is that they focused a lot more on their debut than they done the story here. With the split between the BFFs, they teased it a little bit less on this show than last week. They focused a lot more of it on last week, but they focused a little bit less on this episode, and they focused more on Becky Lynch wrestling Summer Rae. And there was a moment where Charlotte and Sasha were arguing outside the ring, and Summer Rae says, "This is my match. Let me do this." And she gets rolled up, and I thought the referee counted 3, and I thought that was it. I thought that was a little bit of a weird, awkward moment right there. It looked like the referee counted 3, but it was weird. It was almost like they wanted to continue the match instead of focusing on the storyline and that climatic win. So I like that they actually didn't do that, because it will focus a lot more on the split of the BFFs. And what had transpired is that Becky Lynch nailed her finishing maneuver, which looked like a capture exploder suplex, and pinned Summer Rae 1, 2, 3. The only issue I have with the whole Becky Lynch character, I think she should drop the dance. It looks annoying as hell. It just seems like that NXT wants to introduce us to an Irish diva, even though they bill her as Irish. She is Irish. I did look her up, and she has been around the block before. Made her debut in 2002 in the promotions from Japan, North America, and she was also in Shimmer as well as Europe. And recently she was one of Adam Rose's Rosebuds. And I like that they have her splinter off and do her own thing. And like I said, the only thing I would change is to just drop that ridiculous dance and just have her come out, do something different. Don't do any taunts or anything while she's entering the arena in the ring. Just have her come out and wrestle. That's what I'd rather see from Becky Lynch here. But overall, it was a good, solid debut, and I like how they made it more about her than they done with the BFFs. Moving on to a match between Colin Cassidy and Sawyer Fulton. And even though this was another quick, short jobber squash match where Colin Cassidy hit that awesome boot to him that really looked intense and pinned him 1, 2, 3. The moment that happened after really just I don't know what words to say here, because what happened was you had the Legionnaires come out. They were about to go 2-on-1 with Colin Cassidy after he won this match, and then out comes the return of Enzo Amore. And I just completely marked out. I did not see this coming. I was excited for this. This was the best moment to me on the show, was the return of Enzo Amore. He comes out, cuts the promo, bada bing, bada boom, smartest guys in the room, SAWFT soft, and they just get that reaction from the fans. It was awesome. Great mark out moment for me. I know that there are some people that don't know who Enzo Amore is, and I think what NXT done a really good job here in accomplishing is have him come out on a really good show here, instead of having him coming out with a crappy kind of show, because it would just wouldn't feel right to me. So I like that they had Enzo Amore return on this show, where they were focusing a lot of introducing new stars to the show, and this was a great way to introduce Enzo Amore if you haven't watched the show. Now with me, I've been watching NXT since its ascension of coming off of their reality show, and the transformation of Enzo Amore when he started to now is really coming full circle, and he's got the fans behind him. He's so charismatic. He's just figuratively oozing charisma. He's the guy right now, my favorite guy to work up the ranks to get up on Raw. I hope he gets the same reaction than he does on NXT if he does go up to Raw. And that's the one thing I hope for Enzo Amore. That was awesome. And then we get to the main event. It was Adrian Neville versus Rob Van Dam. And overall, this was really a good closure to make the fans go home happy. What happened was that in the beginning parts of the match, the first half, I like how they teased the match with flips and kicks and moonsaults and diving off the ropes with moonsaults and frog splashes and red arrows. But that was the first part of the match. But I like how they teased it. I like how they slowly build up the match to make it not seem like a rush match. They actually gave this match time, about 20-25 minutes in length, which made this a really good, solid, great main event. And what I also like is that ever since Rob Van Dam came back to the WWE, he's only there to help out the young talent. And I like that Rob Van Dam came back again, and only this time it was a little different, because the last time we saw Rob Van Dam come to NXT is that he won a match over a young talent in Aiden English when he was doing the Broadway musical number gimmick. Now with this time with Rob Van Dam coming down, he was actually on the losing end of a match. So it felt different. It felt something that we've never seen before out of Rob Van Dam. And I like how he just fits right in. It almost looks like NXT is ECW again, and there were chants of ECW, and Rob Van Dam just looked it fitted perfectly for the show. I like to see Rob Van Dam come down more often. And like I said, with the whole idea of Rob Van Dam helping out the young talent, and if you want to get better, you want to face people that are better than you, and that is what Aiden English done, facing Rob Van Dam, and I like that he went over in this match to build up his resume as a WWE up-and-comer. And really throughout this entire match, it kind of felt like a little bit of a Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho type of feel, where they were like two mirror images facing off each other. Because Andrew Neville gets compared to Rob Van Dam a lot, I like that finally we got to see that match. The only little issue I have with it is Renee Young should have focused a lot more on calling the match than interviewing Tyler Breeze, even though Tyler Breeze was actually pretty good on commentary. So this was a great way to send the fans home happy and to have a really good match with two high flyers with lots of high flying spots. This was not a disappointing match, to say the very least. It was a lot better than the match between Andrew Neville and Bo Dallas at NXT Arrival, and that was with the ladder. So that really says a lot with this closure to this week's episode of NXT. And like I said, overall, I like how they focused a lot more to introduce new and young, fresh talent. That is the best thing that I've liked watching this episode of NXT. And if you saw it, what did you think about it? Feel free to comment below, let me know. While you're at it, you can hit that subscribe button down below this video. You can also follow MRB Wrestling on Twitter. And you can like us on Facebook at the Mick Rock and Bolt Wrestling Review Show. And on a final note to all you viewers watching, get plenty of rest and always do your best.